Hello people, I'm Rhett from Design Assets, and today I wanted to take you through a bit of the process on how to get something like these results if you are using the Cursive Neon Type product for Photoshop. So let's get into it. So you've got Cursive Neon Type opened up. I just want to make a new document. Let's say it will be 1160 width by 772 height. I'll have 72 DPI resolution on that. There we go. Just zoom that in so a bit closer. So let's say I want to make a single word. Let's make it the word what. So we've got a couple of folders here in the product. We've got neon on and neon off. There's a couple of ways that you can select the character or letter that you're after. The way I like to do it is I just right click on the letter I want, and then I can navigate to that layer, and you'll see it's highlighted right there, the W. And then I want to move not only the neon on state but the neon off state as well. So let me scroll down to neon off folder and then look for the W. Hold down Command or Control on PC and select that one. So then now I've got both the W neon off and the neon on state both selected. I just click and I just drag it over to my new document that I created. So the other way is I can just scroll down the layers and look for the letter I'm after, the H there, and then I look for the H in the other one, it's right there, and once again I just drag and drop it into my new document. Let me do that for the A as well. Where is he? And just drop it anywhere. We're going to line those up a bit later. T selected, and the T. I might also add a question mark to that. Yeah, we'll add a question mark. And we'll drag the question mark over. So we've got all our characters we want in this new file. Let me just put these into a new folder. Just name it neon. So a bit too big for my document. Let me maybe resize this to about 65%. Okay, that. And now I'm just going to position. Actually, let me change this background color as well. I'm going to bring in the background color from the document, and I can just drag that right over as well. So now what I want to do is hand set these letters so they look a bit better. Let me turn off all the neon on states so I can see just the neon glass. So let me just turn off the ones I don't want. So I want to move the H into position. I'll select the H, but I'll also select the H neon on state, so I'm moving that, even though it's hidden, I'm moving that at the same time, and it will maintain its position. So I just want to get it close to a position I like. How about there? Let me turn on the A, select both folders. I'll do the same, and I'll just position this where I like it. Same for the T. So I'm just trying to see where these might link up in a obvious cursive manner. That looks fine, and the question mark. What? Let me just center this a little bit better, and there we go. Done. That might be all you want to do. You might want to end it there, but I've got a couple of tips if you want to get a little bit more realism. So you might be just happy with that state, but what we can do is, what I like to do is add a folder. I'll name it Shadows, because what we've got in each of these folders is the letter and the shadow. Now if each of these glass neon tubes was actually connected, they would all be on one layer, and the shadows would be on, behind each of those tubes. So let me grab the shadows of each of these and then drop it behind. So you can see that's changing our look already slightly. So now we've got all the tubes above and all the shadows behind. So what I see now is that now some of the links of the tubes, we can tell the difference between the characters. What you can do there is go to the folder, go to the character you want to change. So for instance, this one I want to change the H. Let me zoom in really close, beyond resolution there, about 500% I think. And then I want to click on the character and then select Add Layer Mask. Go up to my lasso tool, don't want any feather on it. And I'm going to select the area that is where it's meant to be linked together. So I'll select that with the lasso tool. I'll then select the gradient tool and make sure I've got a black color there, and the gradient goes to transparent. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to mask off just from where the edge of the H is, and just really slightly to about there will even do, just so it gets rid of the hard edge line and blends in to the next letter. So next, what I'm going to do is select with the lasso tool again, maybe give it a feather of about 10 this time. Select the same area, but this time I might hide that selection tool. This time I'm going to adjust the lightness and the saturation. So take it off the layer mask selection, select the actual layer. I'm going to hide my selection and bring up the hue and saturation dialog box. It's Command U on Mac, Control U on PC, and then just use the sliders to get a result that's similar. So I'm going to make this lightness go up to about 35, and then it's a bit desaturated now, so because there is a little bit of color in these tubes, I'm going to up the saturation of that to about there. Just eyeball it. Something that you're happy with. Doesn't have to be totally perfect when you zoomed right in, because when you zoom out it'll look a bit better. So there we go. That's what I do to blend in those layers. I've got, when you've got the H and the A, it goes behind. I think that's totally acceptable. I've got this happening on the T as well, so let me just quickly do that same procedure to the T. You can see me do it again. Zoom in close. Select around the layer, gradient tool, bam. Let me add 10 pixel feather to this, reselect that area, select the character, hide that selection, lighten it off, bring a bit of that color back, maybe it's too light, just by eye, and there we go. I'm happy with that. Zoom out again, and we have our what in all the glory of neon tubing. So that might be another finishing point. You might be happy with that. You want the neon tubes in the off state, and then you'll be good to go. But what if I want neon on state? So let me just duplicate this whole thing. I'll turn off the bottom layer, so yeah, I'll turn off the bottom one that we just worked on, so we've got a copy of that. So let's call this one neon on. So thankfully, because we were dragging each layer together, what we have is, if I turn on all these on layers, is everything in the exact position that we would like it. Actually, before I move on, there is one extra bonus which I almost forgot is in here. To add a little bit more realism, I've got these brackets right at the end here. I almost forgot myself. If I drop those brackets in, I think we decrease the size to 65%. I'll OK that. Now I can just literally drag and drop these where I like. So I might choose, what I like to do is, yeah, where we had our connections, I sort of put them there, and it even hides the connection even better. Just rotate it a bit, find where you're happy placing it, and I like that. You can get rid of the shadow altogether, but I might just drop it back to 20%, and then I'm just going to do that with a couple more of these brackets. Just put them in place, rotate them to fit, and you literally just put them right over the area you want. Take that shadow down as well. Let's say this bracket. You just select the folder that you want, and then just adjust it just by eye to how you think is going to look okay. Let's see, let's put this guy maybe there. Take his shadow down as well. Any more? Yeah, maybe a couple more. Maybe I'll duplicate this one, holding down the Alt key as I've got the folder selected. Command or Control T to transform, and I'm just using the cursor keys to position where I want. Okay, and we'll get rid of these other guys. Just hide them. There we go. So you can place those obviously wherever you think is going to suit most, but then I've got like an added bit of realism to these neon tubes, which they would probably have in real life if you were going to clamp them or screw them onto a backdrop or a wall or anything. So now if I duplicate that, I'll turn it off. I've got my neon on state in exactly where I want it. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've got the brackets in, I'm going to put each of those neon on states above the brackets. There we go. And I'll put them in a folder. We also have those brackets in the neon on state just there, but for the purposes of this, I think I'll just leave them as they are right now. So I've got the brackets. Might put the neon off states in a folder themselves. Yeah, because we probably won't even need them. I might turn the shadow off because I don't need that shadow folder for now. And once again, you might be happy with that. It might be what you are after. But I've got a couple little tips that you might want to play around with and try as well that might help you. So just say I didn't want the default yellow. Let's say I want to go for a different color. Built in to the product, we've got hue and saturation and levels to help you. I can just drag and drop this now. I can select the hue and saturation layer, click, drag to my document, and just drop it, and then there we go. We've got blue instead. But let's say I wanted pink. I just double click on the hue and saturation layer and then just drag this slider to, let's say, maybe like a hot pink about there, and I can always change that later. And let's say the background, I'm going to just duplicate this other background I had. You can just double click on the layer and then choose the background color you want. So let's go for a blue. There's something, yeah, I'm going to go for let me put the blue in first. Now the hue and saturation is affecting the background color. So what I'm going to do is put the hue and saturation above, hold down Option or Alt on your machine, and click the dividing line in between. And that means the hue and saturation is only going to apply to the folder below it. See, there you go. So now the background color I'm choosing is exactly what I'm trying to actually choose. So let's just put it something like that. And once again, you might want to finish there. That might be your end result. But let me just keep playing around and take it a bit further and see what we can get. So if I take this neon off layer and place it above, it doesn't make much sense right now, but if I set that to linear dodge add, what you can see is it's adding the highlights, and it's taking the values and adding it to the layers below. So once again, that might be an effect that you like and you might want to go with that. Let me click down here and add a levels adjustment. And once again, if I hold down Option or Alt, click in the middle space between the layers, it's just going to now affect the folder below it. So if I take the levels, and I can play around with these levels now, I can get rid, I can make it bright white, and then the glow is still pink behind, or I can adjust it. So maybe I just want to get some highlights to this tube. So it's got a bit of the the reflection, glossiness, not totally accurate to what neon would be. Like a neon would probably blow out fully and you wouldn't see any of this, but maybe you've got your camera adjustments set a bit differently, or you're just going for an effect. So let me just get the linear dodge levels to about there. And I'm pretty, maybe bring some of it back. And I'm pretty happy with that effect. I'm good with that, and I might just, because I like playing around, maybe I'll just adjust one more, just add one more layer and adjust the levels manually to that. Just to desaturate it a little bit. Because neon always looks, best on dark backgrounds. I desaturate that a little bit. And there we go. Got hot pink neon tubes on a dark blue, background. And there you are. Once again, you might be totally happy with that. And I could play for a long time with this, just duplicate that layer, give it more of a neon vibe if that's what you want. Drop that back 50%. You might be happy with that. You might, like, that might be the vibe you're going for rather than that. But for now, I think that's the more than the basics of what you can do with the Cursive Neon. And there's some samples of all different, a few different styles in this Cursive Neon samples. But for now, I hope that helps you out, and love to see what you make with it. Thanks.